Okay, so after getting off to a slow start in their 2022 World Cup qualification campaign, the Reggae Boyz and their head coach Theodore Whitmore under pressure to turn things around. After 3 matches, Jamaica sit bottom of the table with 1 point. That point coming in a draw against Costa Rica in their last outing. And joining us now, head coach Theodore Whitmore to discuss with us for a couple of segments on the SportsMax Zone the way forward for this Reggae Boyz team and their bid to make it to Qatar next year. Tapo, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. We haven't had you on the show for a long time. Let me start here. 3 not so good results for the start. One of them particularly poor, the Panama one. Can you talk to us about your conversations with the Jamaica Football Federation following those 3 World Cup qualifiers as you do a sort of a debrief over the sort of stuttering start to the your World Cup qualifying bid?
Good evening, Lance, and to the fans out there listening. First and foremost, it's a pleasure to be on the SportsMax Zone. You have said it's not the way we wanted to start, but I think there's still a lot of positives. When you look on the Mexico game, I thought that we could have gotten something out of it. It wasn't out of reach. The Panama game was very disappointing. I think what we expected, we didn't saw it, but I think we made amends. When we went to Costa Rica, I think we deserved all 3 points then and there. So for me personally and the technical staff, all is not lost.
Yeah, we know that because if you compare what happened at the start of the 98 program and even Trinidad and Tobago's qualification for 2006, not a lot of difference between the starts. But I still want an answer from you, Tapa, regarding the JFF and your discussions with them, because you know the fans, they've been calling for a new coach. What is the JFF saying about your status as the coach at the moment after the 3 World Cup qualifiers?
Well, as we speak now, I'm still the head coach of the national team. You know, and I haven't heard otherwise from the president or the board of directors of the federation. So I'm still the national coach. I'm still working. We have 3 important games coming up: US, Honduras, and Canada. That's where our focus is on at the moment.
Yeah. Do you feel pressured in your current position?
Well, no, but a bit disappointed with the result again. But when you look on the rest of the teams, I think they're not far off apart from Mexico. It's just for us now to start put points on the board. Yeah. So I wouldn't say feel under pressure in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, you said 2 minutes ago that there were some positives to take from what you've seen so far. From the outside looking in, I don't see many. So maybe you can tell us about those positives.
No, well, apart from the Panama game, Lance, I think especially the Costa Rica game, we deserve all 3 points. I think what let us down was not putting away our chances. You know, the only concern I have now is defensively. We are conceding. I think that's something that we need to do, concentrate on for the next couple of days, you know, because we have to stop people from scoring from us. I think we have quality up front, can get goals, but we have to, if we want to make it to Qatar 2022, I think we have to tighten up on our defensive unit.
Yeah, and coach, as you speak about tightening up on the defensive unit, your team has been riddled with injuries as of recent. The latest one, Corey Burke. How do you plan to, account for that and ensure that you get the best of the players that you have at your disposal?
It's a very important question. When you look on the composition of the team, now we have a lot of injuries. Shamar Nicholson, Corey Burke, Ali and Bailey. So again, we have to wrap our heads around and pick a balanced team for these 3 games.
And if you were to, just go back at what happened over the 3 World Cup qualifying games and just make some notes, point out some things that you could have done differently and you will be doing differently in the upcoming games, what would you say to me?
Well, again, as I mentioned earlier to Lance, I think our defensive unit, we need to tighten up on our defensive unit. I think we need to concentrate more in games. I think at some point in the game we switch off, and I think those are key areas, of concern. So looking forward to these 3 games, these are areas that our technical team will be focusing on.
Coach, the Jamaican football-loving public, they have some concerns in relation to the international players. Many people feel as if, these players played in Jamaica for the first time and that their loyalty is not necessarily with the Jamaica Reggae Boyz. You're the coach, you're among these players all the time. Do you get that feeling?
Again, before it was the same. Public who will say, we need X, we need Y, we need Z. And I think if we have gotten a different result in the Panama game, I don't think we'll be hearing these sort of questions. But again, we have to understand it's their opinion, it's their cry. But again, we have to remain focused on the task at hand.
Tapa, you mentioned that there were some positives in the Costa Rica game, and there was some more that you felt they could have gotten out of the Mexico game, but you suggested at the same time that the Panama game was bad. What really went wrong on that afternoon at the Kingston National Stadium? Because as a spectator looking on, the players looked unhappy to me. They looked as if they were at sea. What went wrong? Again,
Lance, a number of factors could have contributed, because again, they were complaining about the heat. How we practiced, we didn't saw that in the game because we wanted to press the Panama team, and I think we gave them a lot of room to play, and I think they make good use of it and hurt us. I think when we conceded 1, conceded 2, and then I think we were all over the place. It was game over.
You said they were complaining about the heat. Can you talk to us more about what?
Well, I think they were complaining about the heat. And again, as coaches, we do stuff, and it didn't work out for us. But I think we just have to hold up our hands and move on, because again, we have 8 to 9 players back here in Jamaica training. We thought that with fresh legs and the professionalism, and we take a number of things into consideration going into that game, and it just didn't work out for us. And as I said, as coaches, we just have to take our league. It's still early days, so I don't think we can afford these kind of mistakes again. So we just have to get everything right for these upcoming games.
Yeah, if you look at the roster and the players that you have at your disposal, Tapa, and the matches that you've seen from the team in the first 3 matches, including the Panama game where some of the players were playing for Jamaica for the first time. Yeah, what would you describe as this team's strengths?
It would have been our attacking unit. Once we get the attacking part of our game right, I think we have quality players who can find the back of the net. But as I said before, we need, defensively, we need to be more resilient, we need to be more tighter, we need to be more mean in giving up goals.
Yeah, a lot of fans looking on to the Jamaican pattern of football in recent years, even before you took over as head coach, Tapa, complain that there is not enough interplay among our midfield, and the midfield, the engine of the team, doesn't function the way fans would like to see them function. There's a lot of bypassing of midfield play and forcing the play quickly up to the front men. People feel that is not the best approach for a Jamaica team. I remember Winfred Schaefer trying to explain in a press conference in Chicago, I think it was, why the team played that way. And he seemed to me as if he didn't have the confidence that the Jamaica midfield had the quality to play a shorter pass game in the midfield against some of the teams that they were facing. Is that an assessment that you would say is your approach at the moment?
No, I wouldn't say that. You know, I think one of the things for us is the players that we select. Again, if we go back to the World Cup, we have good partnership with a Johnson and Daniel Johnston and Devon Williams when we play, in terms of they balance each other, and that's basically what we need. We need midfielders who want to play, who want this football, you know, and I think that contributed to the question you asked, Lance.
So Speedy Williams came on, and he hasn't had a lot of playing time for Jamaica, but there are some fans who feel that he makes a difference when he is playing. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. As I said, definitely. You know, Speedy is not the flashy type of player what everybody expects, because, you know, we as Jamaican, we expect the flashy type of player. But what we get from Speedy is Speedy does the simple things on the football. Speedy does the simple thing on the football field.
All right, Tapo, when you look at what faces you now, Mariah just asked you about the injury issues that you're facing. How much is that affecting you going into the USA match? They have some injury issues themselves. I think Pulisic is already ruled out of their game. You look ahead to the US game and the roster that they will be putting out against the Jamaicans. How do you feel about your unit, which was your 23-man squad, which was named in the past 24 hours?
Well, again, Lance, it is what it is. You know, it's the nature of the sport. You know, injury. This is why we always want depth in our squad. And again, going forward, regardless of who we have injury, I think we just have to find the best possible team. People who know gonna commit it and go out there and play for 90 plus minutes and get the job done. And that's where our focus. We don't want to come here and find any excuses because we didn't have this, because we didn't have that. No. We just have to go out there and try and get the job done, get some points on the board.
Head coach of the Jamaica Reggae Boyz, Theodore Whitmore, World Cup representative himself at the 1998 World Cup Finals in France. Tapa, stay right where you are. Still a lot more discussion ahead with the Jamaica Reggae Boyz. They're sitting bottom of the table in the World Cup Qualifiers for CONCACAF with just 1 point from their 3 matches so far. We go to break. Back with Whitmore after this. Yeah, back on the SportsMax Zone, still talking with the head coach of Jamaica's Reggae Boyz, Theodore Whitmore. Earlier this month, September the 5th to be exact, the Reggae Boyz were beaten 3-0 by Panama in a World Cup qualifier in Kingston, and Whitmore was heavily criticised for the team's lacklustre showing. The agent of Aston Villa winger Leon Bailey, Craig Butler, appeared on the SportsMax Zone and gave this assessment of Whitmore's leadership.
You know, we've been saying the same thing for quite some time. There's no system in the national team. You need a system, a national system of play where people understand each other, or we'll be having a Tower of Babel situation where you have everyone speaking different languages and no one listening. But that is all on the shoulders of the coach. The coach must set that standard and he must organize his team to become effective. Players that are born in Jamaica, born here, grew up here, their mothers are in the stands, their sisters, brothers, they walk down the street and the vendor is going to say, hey, ball, I want them. They're going to fight. You might have good quality from overseas, but let's face it, we have to have a proper mix. The fact that Tapa was not able to get the players to press, if that's what he wanted to do, it says that the players now have no confidence in Tapa's decisions.
Yeah, that's Craig Butler, agent of Leon Bailey. He appeared on the SportsMax Zone a couple of weeks ago in his assessment of the Jamaica performance against Panama specifically. Now, Tapper, looking at what Craig Butler has had to say, he has been a harsh critic of Jamaica's administration of football and the quality of football for many years now. But a follow-up on what he said there, with so many new players in the Panama match, was your coaching job more difficult on that afternoon than your other assignments when you were coaching players who you had spent more time with?
Well, again, as I said, I mentioned it earlier, lads, that that is something, as coaches, it's a decision that I made. And as I said before, it didn't work out the way how I wanted it to go. And I have to just put on my hands and accept responsibility for that.
All right, when you look at the number of English-based players that you have in the current squad, several of them will be returning for the US match, which comes up next week, Thursday, including Mikel Antonio, who didn't offer much in the Panama game, even though we know his quality. He's currently joint leading scorer in the English Premier League, representing West Ham at a very high level. Is there anything different you would do in your approach to this USA match than you may have had for the Panama game?
Well, yes, definitely. There will be some changes, you know, so it doesn't really matter the names that are there. Again, Lance, there's a number of things we can sit here and discuss and point finger, and I think that won't make any sense now, because again, I mentioned earlier again, we have a core of players working together. Now, we inject people in the squad, and then we are hearing different arguments. The problem does not start at the national level. If you go back and you look on our under 15s, we just came out of a tournament that were prepared. What we need to do is, and just last week I had this discussion with the technical chairman, Mr. Rudolph Speed. What we need to do is we need to start prepare our under 15s, our under 17s, our under 20s, so that we can have them for our national team. Because regardless of the situation, if 2026 comes, we're going to start again, and we're going back to England for some players, and every cycle we see that. So it's not like we are short of talent, it's just for us to prepare them.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Tapper. I find it funny when people criticize whomever the national senior head coach is for a lack of a footballing philosophy of the national senior team, because I'm saying to myself, wait, when is it that the football philosophy starts with the senior team? It doesn't. It starts at the youth level. So under 15 plays one way, under 17s play the same way, under 20, under 23. So a player goes up through the ranks. By the time he gets to the top, he knows that there is an overarching philosophy. You can't hold the national senior coach who doesn't have charge of the youth teams for that.
George.
Yeah.
George, what you must understand again, there's not a lot of coaching Tapper can do at the national level. All I can do is manage.
But Tapper, I'm agreeing with you. That's what I'm saying. So
George,
I'm saying,
George, we travel on the 4th to USA to play on the 7th.
Yes.
What kind of coaching can take place in between that time?
And that's why I'm agreeing with you, Tapper. That's what I'm saying. So I find it funny when people are saying that the senior team doesn't have this and doesn't have that, not realizing that it's not the senior team head coach's responsibility to put that in. And especially, here's the point I wanted to come to. I'm saying, having the luxury, Tapper, of looking at the 3 games in the World Cup qualifiers so far, I said to myself, well, if Tapper and his coaching staff were to be honest with themselves, they would say, you know what, gentlemen, we shouldn't be surprised that the start has been so inconsistent, given the fact that I haven't had some players I was banking on to start the World Cup qualifiers with. Certain combinations that I played in the Gold Cup, and I plan to supplement these combinations with other players. I didn't get to do that. I'm sure you had big plans for Ravel Morrison. You didn't know that Ravel Morrison would go to Derby and Wayne Rooney and go on trial and get signed and not be available. So I'm saying all these things I'm saying. I'm not surprised that we've started badly because it has been choppy. The players that you had at your disposal.
I said earlier, George. Everything happened for a reason, you know. But it's still early days, and as I said before, now it's for me and my technical staff. They say, okay, then we have a look on these 3 games. What is our best team now going for the rest of the games? Because again, we have no room for error now. We have no room for error now, and it's as simple as that.
Yes. You know, I want to say this to you, though. Over the 3 games that I watched, I wrote down, I replayed the Panama game, and I think I'm just going to talk about an individual player now who I have tremendous respect for. I think he can, well, he's a leader in your team already, and I think if he stays on the right side, a lot of that is down to him and his own attitude. He'll be good for Jamaica for years to come, Damian Lowe. And I'm saying to myself, it cannot be Tapper's instruction to Damian Lowe. Every time Damian wins possession, Damian goes long. And I counted it, Tapper, I wrote it down.
Which game was this?
No, I'm talking about over the 3 over the 3 World Cup qualifiers, Theodore. I counted Damian making 13 long passes. He only connected with his forwards on 2 occasions. And I'm saying, but Damian, you fight so hard to win possession and you give it away so easily by going long. What's happening there? Yes.
George, this is why I leave Tranmere to come back to Jamaica. Because you see, sometimes is the respect that and Damian is a leader in the squad.
For sure.
But there's no way Theodore Whitmore can be playing midfield in no team and my defender is playing the ball.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
At some point in time, it made no sense I'm on the pitch. It made no sense that I am on the pitch. Again, if you can recall, the Costa Rica game.
Yes.
This is what I went to. Maggie, and I'm saying to Maggie, we know the quality. You might not have the work rate, but we have an Anthony Grant. We have people who, but Maggie, you have to demand this football. You're one of the players that can make it, but you have to demand the football.
Yes.
It makes no sense you're not getting the football and you're getting frustrated. That's not going to help the situation. And again, you understand, Maggie, look at you, so he might afraid to talk to a George, he might afraid to talk to a Tapper. And that's some of the basic problem we have, George.
Yes. You know, so I want to ask you this now then, Coach. Given that we've started not so hot, that's clear. And you know how Jamaicans are. When we criticize people worse than anybody else.
Exactly.
Do you get the sense that your boys, especially the local-based ones who are feeling the pressure more than the foreign-based ones, may be having a crisis of confidence and know it's a big job on your hands to talk to them, to tell them, look, forget the first 3, worry about the next 11?
Lance, as a coach sometime, especially the Costa Rica game, and anybody who was in that changing room can tell, after the Costa Rica game, I gather the players to talk to them, and Blake, the captain, step up and say, Coach, no man, leave this to me. Right? And he gave his little 4-minute speech. And you could see that make a whole lot of difference. So it's not like they don't know. You understand? So if I feel under pressure right now, I would honestly tell you that I feel under pressure. But I have some players, I can't tell you, will die out there.
Yeah. Look, when you look, as Lance put it to you in the first segment we had, about on the quality of players you have at your disposal, one would say that you have the raw material, but there's so much more that goes into getting talented players to play together as a cohesive unit. You've had the benefit of those 3 games. Some of these players, you know them inside out. A lot of these players, you see them on TV where you don't really know them. Do you get the impression that those who are new to the group are willing, Tapper, to put in the hard yards to get with the program and to bring us to where we want to go?
I understand the question, but to answer it, it might cause a bit of problem. But again, some of these players come with, all right, especially a Ravel. You have to know how to deal with a Ravel person. Because if you give Ravel an inch, he's going to take a yard. You understand? You have to know how to deal with these players. And again, I don't have a problem with any player because of how I deal with them, how I approach them, you know. And this is what each afternoon we have technical meetings, we review sessions, we review games, and this is something that I keep saying to my staff, gentlemen, we need to be all on the same page. I don't want a Lance can't get through to Tapper, but him feel him can go around George to get through to Tapper. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. One leader.
Exactly.
You know, so here's a square question then, Tapper. People will say, look, we watched Craig Butler on the Zone, and perhaps it is that Craig Butler's views about Tapper's handling of the national program is influenced by what Leon has said. I'm asking you squarely. Is Leon Bailey...
Repeat that.
People may say that Craig Butler's verdict on how Tapper is leading the national team is influenced by what Leon may be saying to him about his experience with Tapper. So let me ask you squarely. Hold on.
Don't agree with
those are not my frame. That's not my frame. I'm telling you what they are saying. No. So I'm asking you square.
I'm saying I don't agree with that.
Is Leon a receptive professional part of the squad when he's with you?
Yes. So I don't agree. That is his opinion. And you can't fight a man.
You mean Craig's opinion?
Craig's opinion.
Yeah, not Leon's.
It has nothing to do with Leon.
Excellent, excellent. So, as we come now to this important USA assignment, you have what you have. Are you saying to Jamaica that the recent discussions you had with the JFF hierarchy about where we are collectively going with the program, that at no point during those talks, Tapper, was anything raised about your future and the tenure of your coaching the national senior team?
None whatsoever.
You focused on the football, not about the status of your job.
And as long as I'm the national coach, I'm going to give 110% until otherwise.
People say that some of the English players may come and, you know, because in their minds, I mean, it's Jamaica, Tapper, I mean, he didn't win the Champions League or the World Cup or do this or that. We who are here and know your career, there's no player that we can imagine would sneer at you or look down at you because you are what you were. You were an outstanding player. Do you get the sense, Tapper, that the big egos, the big reputations that come to the team, they have that professional respect for you that players should have for their managers?
110%. 110%. 110%.
What do you want to say to the Jamaican public, which is hard to please, miserable, love to criticize, and are disappointed about the 3 games we've played so far? What do you want to say to them about the rest of the campaign?
Well, again, George, I'm a Jamaican and I understand. And some of the time, if you are in this job and you're afraid of criticism, then it makes no sense even accepting this job. And I understand the frustration. But again, some of the criticism are, you know, personal and, you know, we dig round corner and try to get, and I have no problem with that. But I can assure you that I have 110% confidence in this group to take us where we want to go, which is Qatar 2022.
Excellent. We're done with that. But I wanted to ask you one small thing before we go. We have to go now. Lance and I were in the office, I think it was last week, talking about some old-time Premier League football. And I was telling a youngster that the violent kickers Theodore Whitmore was superior to the Seba Theodore Whitmore and even better than the Reggae Boyz Theodore Whitmore. Do you agree with that?
Lance would have known because Lance covered a lot of those games.
But he agrees that the violent kickers Theodore Whitmore was out of this world.
Yes.
You see, the man agrees with me, Lance, so we're not talking tears out of school. Tapper, all the best to you. We can only support and we'll watch and see how the team bounces back from a rocky start to the World Cup qualifying campaign.
Thanks, sir.
Excellent.
Bye. Okay, thank you.
Good. Theodore Tapper Whitmore there, the Reggae Boyz coach. Lance, as he said, you called those games. I watched highlights and I listened to the games. The violent kickers Theodore Whitmore was
that gem?
Yeah, the Seba Theodore Whitmore was...
No, he was very good, and the Reggae Boyz Theodore Whitmore was brilliant as well.
But the violent kickers Theodore Whitmore
was a gem.
Oh,
absolute gem.
Anyway, coming up, the massive schedule of, a big schedule for the Europa League today. And we will give you the best of the action, the highlights, and talk about some of the big games as unruly fans threaten to disrupt the massive fixture between Olympique Marseille and Galatasaray in France. A lot of fan trouble in France in recent time. And we'll present all the latest from across Europe in that Europa League segment.